Okay, I think we are live. Good evening, everybody. Everything looks like it's up and running here correctly. Hopefully somebody is on who can let me know if the sound is okay this week. Last week I seemed to have an issue with my vocal levels being too low, and I've turned my vocal levels way up, so hopefully they look normal, but hopefully somebody can let me know if the vocals sound okay or if my voice is still too soft today. Anyway, good evening from a very warm evening in the Eastern California Death Valley region. My name is Mike Jerry, and going to look at some pretty cool stuff tonight. Okay, Al says up a little, please. So the audio is still too soft, huh? Okay, thanks, Al, for letting me know. I've got the audio turned up as far as I can turn it up in the broadcast studio. So I don't know what. Let me see. Let me check my audio settings here and see if I can figure out speakers, playback device. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Okay, so sounds, open sound settings. Let's see if I can figure out what is going on here. Master volume, speakers, microphone, test your microphone. Okay, manage sound devices, certain apps, okay. Test your microphone, device properties, start test, volume. I can't tell if that's doing anything or not. Is that doing anything? No, it doesn't sound like it's doing much. Okay, well, I think it's about as loud as I can make it, so hopefully it still sounds okay. Al, let me know if it doesn't, if it sounds off. I'm not sure what changed. Well, now it looks like, oh, okay, ow! Just yanked on a cable. Okay, so now it looks like the sound is way up. So let me put it back down here where it's supposed to be. I think now, so in the device properties of my microphone, the volume had gone all the way down to 0. I'm not sure what caused that. So anyway, I think now the sound levels all look normal where they're supposed to be. So hopefully we're good. But anyway, so tonight we're going to be kind of looking at the southern sky, and we're going to be looking at some of the really cool stuff that is in the southern sky this time of year between Sagittarius and Scorpius, which is also where the center of our galaxy is located. So let me start off by turning off this and then going to my scope setup, which is where I should always start off so people can tell what it is I'm using on my to capture all these images that we're seeing these nights. And so here is my setup. It is a 6-inch f4 imaging Newtonian, just an inexpensive simple Newtonian telescope that's riding on a Celestron AltAz mount. That's this part here. And then it's all on a Celestron HD Wedge that allows me to keep the whole thing tilted over and pointed directly at the celestial North Pole, so that as this rotates the scope across the sky, it's following the tracking of the sky exactly. So this is all, and of course, riding on my spare no expense cinder block pier that I installed with these special storage cubby holes here, you can see. So very nice how that came about. And I'm sitting at this table right here behind this very laptop, bringing all this to you. So, and in here is where the camera or eyepieces go. In our case, we're using the 533 camera tonight, the color camera. So, let's take a look at where we are here. So here is Antares and Scorpius. And Scorpius and Sagittarius are right here. And so we're going to take a look at some of the really nice stuff that's in here. I can't go much below this level here, which according to Stellarium says is about 10 degrees. I think it's actually a bit higher than that, but anyway, I can't really go much lower than this level here. Basically the stinger on Scorpius, the scorpion, it's this curved tail, and then the little stinger that's here. And so I have to stay pretty much north of, so I don't get to see Ptolemy's cluster, which is a very cool binocular target. It's actually a little too big a target for my scope anyway, but if you get some binoculars out some night and look in the southern sky, the Ptolemy's cluster is a really beautiful cluster. But above that, we can certainly see some other stuff in here. There's lots of star clusters and things in here. And in fact, let's just start it with a Messier object here, which is the butterfly cluster. Let's see if we can pick up the butterfly cluster. I think we should be pretty good in this area for that. Let's see if we are there. Yeah, there it is. Okay, let's start imaging on that. And I am not going to do anywhere near 60-second subs on that because that would just be way too long. Need to get you out of the way, need to get you out of the way, need to get you out of the way. And now we're going to go and adjust this histogram out so that we can see what we're looking at here. Again, this is another, you can sort of see the head of the butterfly, and there's one wing here, and then there's the other wing of the butterfly here. So there is the butterfly cluster. Again, a really nice binocular target. In fact, I was out here with my astronomy binoculars the other night, and it's a great target for that. I'm going to actually kind of try to dim it down a little bit. But you can see it's a little bit of a shape in there. With the camera is so sensitive that it picks out a lot of background stars and it drowns it out. If you're out with a small telescope or binoculars, it really stands out quite nicely against the much fainter background stars. Let me see if I can drop it down and even make it show up a little bit better. Even, you know, see, it stands out a little bit more there, but still not great. So anyway, but there's the little butterfly. He's in there, and it's a nice little butterfly shape when you look at it through a small scope or a pair of binoculars. Good evening, Curtis. Welcome. Thanks for stopping by. So there is the butterfly cluster. I guess that's M6. So Charles Messier actually saw that one and made it the 6th item in his Things That Are Cool But Are Not Comets catalog. This is a reflection nebula. I don't know that we're going to be able to see much there. Let's go over and take a peek at it. I don't know that we're going to be able to see much there, but we can give it a shot. But the butterfly cluster, that's a pretty neat little thing. Okay, yeah, we do have a little bit of a puff here, so let's, no, we're going to do that one, not that one, we're going to do this one, start imaging there. Let's see if we can pick up how much of the nebulosity we can pick up on this. So we'll see what a 60-second sub does. So we're basically going to start as low as we can and work our way up over the course of the evening as things slowly roll over in the sky and go towards setting. But right now things are about as high as they can get. Most folks, especially Northern Hemisphere folks, don't get to, well, I should say North American, don't get to see all of Scorpius and Sagittarius here in Southern California, it's just high enough in the sky that we can see all of it. So I get to see some of this more southern stuff. So I like trying to get this stuff while I can. The False Comet Nebula, NGC 6231. This was actually my wife's favorite star cluster when she was alive. She passed away last fall, but this was her favorite little star cluster to look at. Another great little binocular target. It's nothing to look at. Again, like the butterfly cluster, it kind of gets drowned out by the background stars when you look at it with a camera. But this was her favorite little star cluster in here. And she used to call it the glitter stars of Scorpio because she was very much into astrology. So she called it the glitter stars of Scorpio. And when you look at it through the atmosphere, especially low on the horizon as it is, it's very twinkly. So they always glittered at her, and she always loved that. She always loved that little cluster. Okay, let's see if we can put this stuff back in here, and here, and what do we got here? Wow, this is really interesting. I have a feeling I'm picking up some light wash from my own monitors. So let me go put the shroud on and hopefully restart the stack. Hold on a sec. Okay. I think the other problem we're having here is that I'm very close to a roof line, and so I think what's happening is that we are actually getting pickup for some I'm picking up some light wash off the side of the trailer out here. I'm kind of shooting right over my travel trailer here, my camping trailer, which is parked in the backyard here, and so maybe picking up some. Yeah, this is still my red light from when I was putting on the this is still my red light from when I was putting on the shroud, so that's my headlamp that's showing up in there. So we're going to have to wait again and see if it clears up. If it doesn't, we'll just head a little bit higher up in the sky, because right now I'm kind of pointed straight at. the. Let me try turning this down a little bit. Turning my monitor down might help some, because it's actually, the trailer is right behind me, and so my own laptop monitors are reflecting off the white side of the trailer, and that may be what's causing some of it too. Now we'll see how this comes out. Yeah, it's still getting a lot of light wash, but definitely some nebula in here. Definitely a whole region of nebulosity in here, and this is a very rich star-forming region in here, and so there's a lot of nebulosity That's going to be okay. Oh, let me get my enhancements turned on. So that sharpens things up a bit. I think we're just a little bit too low. So that what's happening there is we're just picking up some light wash off the side of the rig. But I think it's just barely enough out of the way that we should be able to see. We'll do a few subs in here because it is a pretty little area. But we'll head up sky after this. And let's put our background music on. So that'll be burbling along in the background. But hopefully you can still hear my voice okay. I think what happened with so I think based on what happened today, I had to go into my properties and turn the microphone volume back up to 100% from 0. I think what happened was right before last week's live stream, the one I did on the 1st, my last one, Windows did a big update. And so I think when it updated, it reset my sound settings somehow and turned my microphone way down on me in the Windows settings, independent of the OBS settings. So I think now we're back in business. Curtis says 669 is very near M6. Big delay in chat, by the way. Yeah, there's a big delay in everything, Curtis. When I do something at my end and then wait to see how wait for it to appear on the stream that I'm actually looking at, that I'm monitoring, it's always a good 30 to 45 seconds. So that's just the way it happens. This technology is amazing, but it does have... The speed of light is still a thing. It is still real and still works and is still a law we all have to pay attention to. So the signals that we're all playing with here are bouncing all over, certainly all over North America and probably beyond. So it takes a while for that trip to happen, even at the speed of light. Let's see here, how are we doing? But I think finally the mystery of what happened to last week's audio, I think, has been solved. I think good old Windows updated things, and well, this is a pretty cool little, definitely a bright spot up here. And what does yeah, so it's a whole area in here. This is a whole area of nebulosity in here. Some of the upper part is lost because of this in here, but in fact, let me look at an individual sub-exposure and see. I don't know that it'll tell me a whole lot. Well, it seems to be pretty clean. Boy, that's quite a delay. That was quite a delay to come back. It is a pretty little nebulous area, though. But we've got better stuff we can look at, so I'm just going to... That's a nice little warm-up, but let's go to the next thing up the line here. Whoa. Boy, you are really laggy tonight. I just upgraded to the newest version of C69. Huh? Let's see where C69 is. C69. Hello? C. No, I just turned off the constellations. Bug Nebula, Butterfly Nebula. Yeah, we can try take a look at it. The Bug Nebula. Is it, I guess, this little guy in here? Oh, look at that. He is a little guy. He is a little guy. But we'll take a look. Alright. Why do I keep going to the capture menu? I don't know. Star imaging. Bug Nebula. Let's see what we can see of this little guy. Yeah, it looks like my internet connection is kind of up and down a little bit. In this heat, I guess I'm not surprised. So, if I'm sounding a little laggy, sorry about that. Let's see. Definitely a bright spot there. Boy, SharpCap is definitely very, very laggy. It's taking several seconds for my changes to take effect when I make a change. This is a brand new version of SharpCap. So let's see, yeah, so that's gotta be it. Bug Nebula. Anyway, I'm not sure if OBS got hung up or what it is, but I seem to be back. Yeah, my broadcast studio software, I guess, just locked up. I'm not sure what the heck happened. The only thing that went dead was my internet connection. It wouldn't connect to the internet. Everything else was working, so I don't know. Anyway, I just crashed it and brought it back, and now it seems to be, everything seems to be working fine. So my broadcast studio software, OBS, seemed to crash. Well, in any event, yeah, thanks, Al. Appreciate it. I don't know. I guess my broadcast software just got hung up, and I just crashing it and bringing it back seemed to have fixed everything. So there you go. Anyway, here is the bug nebula. We seem to be back up and running, and I seem to be able to do it without killing the live stream, so everything is working again. I guess it was just OBS that was the problem. But there's the little bug nebula. Uh-oh, I went the wrong way. There's the little bug nebula there. We've been on that for 16 minutes, so I think that's about enough time for that tiny little guy. Let's move up to bigger and better things here. Okay. Now we've just been on this one here. And there's the butterfly. We started off on that one earlier. So we're just going to keep working our way up here. And yeah, we should at least be able to get into here to see Lagoon and Trifid. So let's just start with Trifid. We did this last week, or but it's a really spectacular one. It's definitely worth doing. Definitely worth doing and doing right. So we'll do it again. Let's bring it up into the center of the view a little bit more. That's probably about right. Somewhere in there. Alright, and then we will start imaging on that. This is a pretty spectacular one. So yeah, now everything is behaving better. I guess it was now even SharpCap is behaving more normally. So I guess it was just Open Broadcast Studio that was hanging everything up. Somehow it got hung up on stuff. So we'll do Lagoon and Trifid. We'll do Trifid first because Lagoon is just so much bigger and more spectacular. But we'll do both of these guys and then keep on going up. It is a very warm night here, so I started to blame the temperature on things, but it's easily over 100 degrees right now and probably won't drop below triple digits until midnight or later. We're just in a really, as Al knows, we are in a very warm, I'm not sure where you are, Curtis. You're in SoCal, aren't you? Maybe not. But as Al knows, we are definitely in a big old heat wave here in the southwest. We're here in where I am, we're right around 120 degrees every day, just a little bit below or a little bit above. Supposedly is a forecast of 121 tomorrow, so we'll see how well that, see if that comes to pass. But yeah, you're in OC. That's what I thought. Well, you're at least close enough to the marine layer that you're not getting as hot as here, but still, there's just a lot of heat coming in down here. T-shirt weather, yeah. Well, it's hotter than T-shirt weather here, but I'm going to reset this. See if that amount just kind of moved on that last one. Yeah, this is a little bit better. I'm doing 60-second unguided, which is really the limit of about what you can do, and depending where you are on in the sky, things move more slowly or more quickly. So it sometimes some of the stars can smear a little bit. Alright, let's spread this out here. And then pop this up just a little bit. Yeah, that's looking pretty nice though. Yeah, tomorrow, Al, they're forecasting us for 121. I don't know if that's still. Let me. In fact, let me pull up the forecast here while that's. Come on. Let me show you what our forecast here is. Yeah, so they're saying 86 overnight tonight, 121 tomorrow, 120 Sunday, 119 Monday, and then the big cool off, 116 on Tuesday. And supposedly it's going to go down from there a little bit, but yeah, this is our weekend. We were supposedly about 119 today or so, 118, 119 today. Well, so, you know, this is our weekend, pushing 50 degrees C. So, and right now in Pahrump, which is next to us, it's 102 degrees there, but they're about double our altitude, so they're 6 to 7 degrees cooler than us, generally speaking. So here it's still probably about $1.08, $1.09 right now. Actually, I guess that was taken at what? 9:40, so that was a little bit, about half an hour ago. So yeah, it's definitely warm, and it's still pretty warm out here tonight. And I was like, oh, maybe not. Maybe I won't because it's too warm. And obviously, the laptops and everything is running a lot harder because it's so warm out here. But I looked at the rest of the forecast, the weekend forecast. With all the heat, it's also going to be, we're going to have more of the monsoonal flow move in, so we're going to have more clouds, more moisture, and so there's just going to be more clouds for the next few nights. And after that, the moon is in the sky dominating. So tonight's really, it was either tonight or done for 2 to 3 weeks until the moon goes back away. So I figured, what the heck, go for broke, and that's what I'm doing. So that's why I'm out tonight, even in the heat. These colors look pretty good, pretty well balanced. Yeah, it's probably a little bit better. But yeah, that's nice. Yeah, everything is responding much more normally now than it was before. So, yeah, this is Trifid, which basically stands for three-lobed, because there's actually 3 different types of nebulae in here. All 3 different types of nebulae are in here. This red part is an emission nebula, which is basically these gases are being ionized by some form of radiation, probably from a star or something, and they are ionized and they're actually emitting their own radiation. So this is an emission nebula. This blue part up here is a reflection nebula, so it's actually reflecting, the gas is reflecting the light of a star that's in its center, perhaps this one, I'm not sure which one, but it's a reflection nebula. And then these black bands through here that are creating the Trifid or three-lobed shape, which is what it was named for way back when, is dark nebula. And it's dark gases and dust that are just blocking out some of the light of this nebula here. So there are 3 different types of nebulae in this one, quote-unquote, one nebula, which is the Trifid nebula. Definitely a fun one. And we'll be doing Lagoon next, which is even bigger and more spectacular, although perhaps not so contrasty with the colors. But it's still a really nice one. Although I'm not liking how low the red is. I want to punch the red up a little bit. Link, link. I want there to be a little more red. Let me get this back on the peak here. I like there to be a little more red in it. So yeah, that's a bit better. So Wikipedia says it's, yeah, this is it's a combination of an open cluster of stars, a reflection, emission, and dark nebula. Viewed through a small telescope, it's a bright and peculiar object and is thus a perennial favorite of amateur astronomers. This is another one that is very nice in binoculars and small telescopes. The Hubble studied it in 1997. It's a stellar nursery full of embryonic stars. Why are you not scrolling, you? Huh. Come on. So, how far away is this? It's about 4,100 light years away. It's a pretty one. Very cool. And tonight, with the monsoonal moisture that we are having, I should turn on my background music back on. Twink, twink. Tonight, with the monsoonal moisture that we are having, there were some clouds low to the south, so I was thinking maybe we were going to have some trouble with clouds, but so far, it seems to be working out quite well. Almost at 10 minutes. Anything else in this CPU? No, pretty much just that. I don't think there's anything else of note really to see in this region. But it's a pretty one. And next we'll pop down to Lagoon. There's 10 minutes. You can see more of that dark dust and even some more of the dark nebula kind of like poking out into here, covering up the reflection nebula blue part. That's a fun one. Okay, next Lagoon. Oops, not you. You. Okay, Lagoon is going to be down here. Yeah, that should be just about right for us. So I'm just going to go from here. We're just going to go at it right away from here. Yeah, it's a bigger and brighter one. Maybe up here we'll take a poke at the Sagittarius star cloud, which is one spot where, as I said earlier, we can, this area in here is, oh yes, that's right, I accidentally turned off the constellations. There we go. This area in here is actually where we look at the center of the Milky Way galaxy, is right in this area. But there's so much dark gas and dust between us and the core that we can't really see much of it. So otherwise it would be this pretty big, bright, glowy part of the sky. If you go to a dark sky site, you know how well you can see the Milky Way. It really stands out. And those are just the arms. The core is much, much brighter. And so this is basically where we're looking at it in here. But there's just a lot of crap in the way. But okay, so here is the Lagoon Nebula. Actually, it kind of looked okay back the way it was. As more comes in, this is one of those tougher objects where the core is very bright, but the outer parts are much wispier and finer and fainter. And so it's a tough target to get right, because if you adjust it so that the core isn't blown out, which you can do, but then you lose all the outer stuff. But you can see the core pretty darn well. Grouping of stars in there. But then you lose all the wispy, beautiful nebulousness around the outside. Is nebulousness a word? I might have just made up a word there. But if you turn it up to get all that stuff, then the core gets blown out. It's very much like the Orion Nebula, or any of these star-forming nebulae, which is most of them, where they're big, expansive nebulae that are either emitting or reflecting lots of light from the stars they're forming. So there's a lot of faint wispiness that's just beautiful to look at. But their cores, obviously, since they're creating these stars, are really bright. And so they all get kind of blown out. Rebalance the colors a little here. But I'm going to go, because it's so warm, I'm leaving my water inside, otherwise it'll just turn into hot water out here. So I'm going to go grab a drink while this continues to load. Be right back. Okay. Rehydrated. Lagoon Nebula. Giant interstellar cloud. It's an emission. Well, they're guessing between 4,000 and 6,000 light years, so a bit of a range there. So they're saying its size is actually 110 by 50 light years. Like many nebulae, it appears pink in time exposure color photos, but is gray to the eye peering through the binoculars or a telescope. And it's pink because hydrogen is typically reddish in color, whereas oxygen is typically bluish or greenish in color. And this is an emission nebula or a hydrogen beta region. The nebula contains a number of Bok globules, which are dark collapsing clouds of protostellar material. So that is all these little pockets here. If we zoom in even more, we can see there are quite a few of them. There and there, some more here, there, another one there. There's quite a few of them on. So these are dark collapsing protostar material. Protostellar material. It also includes a funnel-like or tornado-like structure caused by a hot O-type star that emanates ultraviolet light, heating and ionizing gases on the surface of the nebula. Yeah, the funnel or tornado-like thing. I don't know that I've ever seen the funnel or tornado-like structure. And of course, as Al pointed out, great star fields, because all this stuff is in the Milky Way, which has the Milky Way right in its background. So lots of stars drowning out the objects in this area, but just a spectacular part of the sky. Something to look forward to every summer. So there's 10 minutes on that. Lagoon and Trifid. And try M25 and M23, 18. We'll do up to 17, and we'll go up to Eagle and Omega, etc. We'll take a look at those in a minute. Let's try M25. Another great binocular target. M25, so we'll say goodbye to Lagoon. Another great binocular target, M25, another sparkly, great sparkly object. Again, because it's star cluster, I'm going to significantly reduce the exposure. Star clusters are so much brighter. And again, I can't stretch the histogram too much. I have to leave it pretty loose, because otherwise we just get so much background star, since again this is all right in the core of the Milky Way is behind this, basically. Even with all the gas and dust between us and it, there's still a ton of stars in these backgrounds. This is M25, a nice little cluster. They classify it as strong central concentration of stars, medium brightness range. Cluster members, poor cluster with less than 50 stars. I don't know. I don't think it's that poor. It is a fun one, another fun, twinkly one to look at with binoculars and small scopes. So, and again, M25, and there is Sagittarius, the teapot, right there. And so there's its top. So this is right above the top of the teapot. We're basically going to be working along the top there. This is a star cluster. Oops, cross. Yeah. So that's a nice little thing. We'll go see M21, called Webb's Cross, which is right near Trifid, actually. We might have even gotten this in our early exposure of. See, there's Trifid down there, so we may have even gotten a piece of this earlier. But that's another nice little cluster. Another nice little guy there, with Trifid just down below it. A nice little cluster of stars in there. Now if we take a look in here, great, so the Sagittarius star cloud. This is a planetary nebula, really. I wonder if we could see it. Only one way to find out. A planetary nebula in here? Wow. Let's see what we can see. A planetary nebula in here, huh? Well, let's run a couple of sub-exposures and see what we can see. Maybe we will see something. I don't know. I have my doubts. Planetary nebulas are usually very small. Typically they're fairly bright, but they're usually pretty small. And so this one, I mean, this is basically the little Sagittarius star cloud here. And So with such an intense backdrop of basically the core of our Milky Way stars right here in the background, which is this, you know, this is like a hole in the clouds, all this dark dust and stuff that's between us and the core of the Milky Way. So we get these little pokes, and this is probably the biggest one, which is the Sagittarius star cloud. And they're saying that there's a planetary nebula in the foreground of this, since it'll be a fairly close thing, within probably a few thousand light years. And they're saying there's a planetary nebula in here. Is that something, maybe? Hard to tell. But you can see how intense the stars are in here. There's a lot of stars here, because this whole thing is the backdrop. You can see where it just starts to break out here. Just this corner is missing, and this is reflected, so it's, you know, a flipped view. Oh, we got to readjust this. Pretty intense star field. M12 or M22, I think. Al wants to know if M12 or M22, or I think 22 is in here. There's 23, there's 21, and 20. 25, there's 22. Yeah, 22 is right down here. It's another great cluster. We'll do that next, Al. 12? I don't know where 12 is. 12 isn't in this area. Where the heck is 12? 12. Oh, not too far away. The gumball glob. Yeah, it's up in Ophiuchus. So we can do that later. So there we go. 65, 67 planetary nebula. Mag 11. With a surface brightness of 6.5. I don't know, is this it? I don't really see an image of it in here. NGC 65, 67. Let's see if I can find a picture of it in here. In Wikipedia, NGC 65, 67. Oops. Dim planetary. No, there is basically the short answer is no. Although Wikipedia is calling it a dim planetary nebula, so I don't think it's going to show up much against this star. But you can see how intense this star field is. It's such a bright, like I said, a poke in the clouds of where of the core of our Milky Way, just poking through the dark dust in this one small section. But let's go down to 22 before it's the great Sagittarius cluster. Let's go down there and take a look at that. And there it is. Pretty darn close to center, so we're just gonna, well, we're just going to go with it from here. But again, because it's a star cluster, we do not want to do very long exposures. Big, bright, 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll do 3.5 seconds. And haha. We'll again let it get a few subs here. But it's a pretty nice cluster that Al just brought up there. This is M22, the Great Sagittarius star cluster. It's a nice globular cluster. Globular clusters are nice, intense balls of stars, basically. They not really sure how they formed, but one of the best speculations is that they're actually captured dwarf galaxies. Smaller galaxies that the Milky Way, with its larger gravity well, has captured. There's no point doing a color balance because there's not enough data. But smaller dwarf galaxies that the Milky Way has captured and that now orbit around the Milky Way. And the Milky Way's gravity has stripped most of the outer stars, and the only thing that's left is the actual cores of those galaxies with their intense clusters of stars. And so that's one of the latest theories about what globular clusters are versus open clusters, which are much more loose collections of stars, like the M25 that we were just on, and M23, where they're much more loose clusters of stars called open clusters. But these globular clusters are intense, tightly packed clusters of stars that go away. That are just way too many stars and way too intensely packed to be anything other than probably the cores of old galaxies. But pretty intense. Let's see where we're going next. I don't think we did 23. Try doing a wispy edge of going up and try and do another sort of a wispy edge of the Sagittarius star cloud. Yeah, where you've got the dark pockets and then the edge of the cloud here. Yeah, see, so we've got these two kind of kidney-shaped pockets here, which are over here. Let's go ahead and do this. I think I want to drop it to 30 seconds. Actually, even 15 seconds, because it's just going to be too much to do more than that. We'll drop it to 15 seconds. But this is such a bright area of the sky, so we're not going to need to do more than that. You can see the kidney-shaped holes there, so we're kind of right on the edge of the star cloud. Just where we poke through, you can see the bottom edge here, just kind of down here. Just an area of the sky where we don't have this dark dust blocking things, except in these two spots, so we can kind of see through to the core of the Milky Way. Yeah, M12. We'll get to, yeah, so we'll definitely take a look at some of those. Definitely take a look at 12 here in a bit. But just an intense star field. Just a little peek of the area of the core of our galaxy. My laptops are definitely running warm. Definitely running warm. But so far they're working okay. I guess if you exclude OBS hanging earlier. Thankfully it's recovered very well and everything's working solid now. But heat is not good for them. Number one killer of electronics is not moisture, it's heat. So running in all this heat is not great for them, but they're doing okay. Sagittarius, great Sagittarius star cloud. Very cool. Let's see, we do 20, we didn't do 23 yet. Another quickie cluster. Head out there and do a quickie cluster. Yeah, it's another nice cluster there. And we'll drop. Quite a few stars in that. A lot of, they're fairly even in terms of their brightness. But this is an example of an open cluster. Much more loose grouping of stars. Stars that were perhaps formed in the same stellar nursery and are still in the process of, after consuming all of the gases and forming, they're still in the process of moving out and spreading out into the galaxy. So, open cluster. Good example of an open. M23. Okay, now M18 is the black swan. Go take a look at the black swan. I guess that's the black swan. Let's take a look at the black swan. Black swan cluster. Not sure there's going to be much to see in this one. It is a Messier object, it's M18, but I guess you have to be kind of creative to come up with the swan. Oops. Wrong window. Black swan. Again, you see another example of the dark dust and gases that are in this area, and the star field, the richer star fields that are behind them. So you get patches of rich star fields and then dark dusty spots. Get the histogram adjusted right. Pretty nice star fields that Milky Way throws up. Just do a couple of minutes on this, 3 or 4. Nice. Omega and Eagle, M17 and 16, a couple of pretty spectacular ones. So let's just move to them. Yeah. And we can just go straight away with these. Time for another drink. And it looks like we're being photobombed by a satellite. So I think I will reset this here just before the second sub gets in, so that at least when it comes in, the satellite trail will be off the nebula, and we'll build from there. Satellites are everywhere. Let's make sure the colors are on. They look pretty close. I think they can be tweaked a little bit. It's pretty close though. Omega Nebula. Let's see what. Also known as the Swan Nebula, Checkmark Nebula, and the Horseshoe Nebula. It's another hydrogen beta region, which is why it's reddish in color. Discovered by Philippe Lois de Chezeaux in 1745. Charles Messier cataloged it in 1764. It is by some of the richest star fields of the Milky Way, figuring in the northern two-thirds of Sagittarius. It's between 5,000 and 6,000 light years away, spans some 15 light years in diameter. Excuse me, 15 light years in diameter. Everything seems to be not quite red enough for me tonight. Punch up the red. Next we're going to go to the Eagle Nebula, and inside those is something called the Pillars of Creation. We'll have to see if we can get the resolution to see those very well. The skies are a little bit mushy here. They're not very sharp and crisp tonight because we are in a monsoonal flow, so the humidity is a little higher here than normal. So as a result, can't quite get the as much sharp detail. Can't focus quite as well as we normally do. In fact, I might, before we go, I might just pop over here to a brighter star in the area, and come on, give me the star. I'm trying to 228 224 Subik. Yeah, that's probably the Russell Hag is probably the brightest, but Subik would be the one that I would want to go to. We'll go over there just real quick and check the focus before coming back over to the Eagle Nebula, and then see how well we can resolve the Eagle Nebula and pick up the pillars of creation. So we'll see. A lot of nebulosity in this whole area. Rich star-forming region. What stacking am I doing here? I am doing the sigma. Yeah, I am doing the sigma clipping stacking, which means it's averaging out aberrations like satellite trails. Which is why that satellite trail, which started out as very bright, is slowly fading. It's still there and it'll probably never disappear. But the more sub-exposures I stack on here, the fainter it'll get. The sigma clipping is the averaging stacking. It averages the new sub-exposure onto the stack that's already there. The default, the other kind, is the additive stacking, where it just adds the brightness to what's already there. So satellite trails don't fade, but everything is just a little bit brighter. But with all the satellites in the sky now, I leave it on the averaging clipping, the sigma clipping, because it's it helps erase some of those satellite trails over time. There is the Omega Nebula at 10 minutes. So now I'm going to go over and I am going to run over to Subik just to check my focus real quick, and then we'll come back and do Eagle. Let's try and get that. It's close enough. Let's get it in there nice and big. Go do the focus. Yeah, that was out a little bit. So now we'll come back and do 16, 18, 17, 16, Eagle Nebula. That looks pretty good. Let's just fire it up. Okay, the Eagle Nebula. Fits nicely in my field of view here. There's some nice things in Scutum as well. A couple of Messier objects. And of course Al pointed out M12 up in Ophiuchus up here. So we'll get that too. M10, M12. Nothing. Just a regular glob. Okay. Recenter on our current target. Nice. There it is. That's pretty good. Focus was out a bit, so this should be a bit clearer and easier. Yeah, you can see the eagle forming in here and the pillars forming, so we'll get a few sub-exposures on here and then we'll see what we can see inside there. Let's get the colors balanced back out. And kick the red up. little bit. Okay, we got about 5 minutes on there now. So that's probably about pretty good for us to get in there and look at those pillars. So this is kind of the eagle shape. These are the pillars in here. Pillars of creation. I still don't have the kind of resolution that's really required to see them very well. But you can see this big structure here and one here, and then they get littler as they go along, and these are what are known as the pillars of creation. As we get a few more sub-exposures, and hopefully some of this will clean up and darken up a little bit. But you can still see I still do have some movement in my exposures because I'm running 60-second unguided exposures. So the stars are ovaled a little bit. There is a little bit of movement going on, which smears the image. So not perfect, but yeah, give this a few more minutes. We'll probably see some more detail come through in there. really brighten things up. Kind of blow things out a little bit, but you can see more of the fainter, wispier nebulosity there. But it kind of blows out the brighter stuff. Rich star forming. All these rich star forming gases. All these young white hot stars around them. Darken things up a little bit. See if we can get in there and see the pillars a little better. Yeah. They're a bit better now. Still a bit smeary and blurry, but they're really getting into the limit. You can start to see the pixels in the camera too. So, thanks, Al. Yeah, it came out pretty well. I don't quite have the resolution to see these clearly. And like I said, tonight with the monsoonal moisture, the skies are a bit mushy. So that combined with the camera resolution and the fact that the mount is ovaling things and smearing things a little bit means it's not perfect, but these are the pillars of creation in here. Creation because it is a star-forming region of our galaxy, so there's a lot of creation going on here, but these are generally this dark stuff. It's probably another Bach globule, which they call the collapsing protostellar material, where it collapses and eventually forms stars. So those are the pillars. And if you look at you get a Hubble image of the pillars. Yeah, you can see. They're pretty spectacular. So this is what they look like from the Hubble scope. get in there with lots of high resolution. This, on mine, this left pillar is almost completely invisible. But you can see that they're there. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Just at the limit of what I can do with mine. I think at this point I may call it a night. We may just stop there, and then first thing I do next session, which will probably not be for another 2.5 weeks, because like I said, the next few nights are really the last nights without moon dominating the sky, and the clouds unfortunately are going to be in much greater numbers here because of the monsoonal flow we're going through right now. So unlikely I will be doing anything in the next few days, and then the moon will dominate for the next 2 weeks after that. So chances are I won't be back for a good 2.5 or 3 weeks. But then after when I do come back, we'll keep going up and do more. Oh, I know, Al, we'll do one more thing. Al mentioned M12, so we will take a look at M12. There is the Eagle Nebula, pretty cool deal. And we'll go to M12 for Al. The Gumball cluster. And there it is. Center it up a little bit better. And again, because it is a star cluster, we will cut way back on the exposure time. But it is a sweet little cluster. Not too bad. Not such a huge cluster that the core is so bright and blown out. Just kind of a nice little cluster. So thanks for the suggestion, Al. It was a good one. Like I said, next time we'll probably head further north and do some scutum and whatnot. One thing more I might do too. Let's go in the area of Antares. See what we can pick up around Antares. We'll do that for a second too, because by next month Antares is going to be setting a lot earlier. Right now it's in pretty much a prime spot for me. So it's a pretty nice little rich region. B12, another great little glob. Fun. Probably also another great binocular small telescope target. Might be a little faint, but probably not too bad. Oh, it's a Mag 7.6. That should be... surface brightness is a little low. Yeah, it might not show up as more than just a faint little puff in binoculars and things, but it's a sweet little target. Okay. Let's head down to Antares here. Yeah, there's a couple of different... There's a lot of nebulosity here. Well, let's see what we can see. Pop down, pull a couple of exposures and see what happens. Probably it'll be a bit like the Alnitak region of Orion, where you've got this really bright star, but all this really cool nebulosity around it. Got a nice little cluster there. That's probably M4 shouldn't be in there though. Well, definitely a nice little cluster here. Well, let's run a couple of subs and see what happens. Antares is just in a really sweet spot right now, so right between a couple of buildings, so it's in a great spot. More than 20 degrees, almost 25 degrees up, and descending from this point. That's about as high as it gets for me in the year, in the summertime. Let's see what we can see. M4 is definitely there. That's another great target. But let's see what... the histogram is going to be whacked. Whoops. I need to get this histogram moved, or it's going to be very blown out. Huh. Definitely some wispiness in here. And there is the diffraction spike, just the tip of the edge of the glare from Antares right there. Definitely a cluster here. Yeah, well, that's what I targeted, and that's what I'm on. So this is another glob. It's a small glob, but definitely one that's there. And Antares is just right on the edge of the view, exactly as it should be. Not very many globular clusters stand up well to 60-second exposures, but this seems to be one of them. Interesting. I think we just catch the outer edge of M4 here. Yeah, see, just the outer edge of M4. We're catching just the outer stars from M4 in here. We'll pop down and see that one too. Lots of nebulosity in here. See, now if I had the big dollar sensor where you get all this stuff in one shot, one field of view. think this ring here is glare from Alnitak. Off-axis glare. See about M4 here. M4 is a pretty big, spectacular glob. Another good glob. M4. We'll see if we can pick up some of this here. I have my doubts, but maybe. I wonder if we'll be able to see. Let's try it. Let's see what a 60-second sub-exposure does here with such a bright star in the view. We'll see what a 60-second sub-exposure will see if we can pick up any of this faint nebulosity with this big, bright, glary star in the middle of it. Maybe. We'll see what it does. So far, not much. There is a little something here. A little partial crescent here. See, I think I'm picking up a little bit of this here. A little bit of this hydrogen region in here, but yeah, these two stars here would be these two stars right here. So, yeah, I'm picking up a little bit of it, but it's pretty faint. It's pretty darn faint. It's very faint. So I don't think I'm going to get much of that. I can try to see if I can get any of this. Yeah, I get trace amounts of that, but I don't think I don't think we're gonna get there. Let's see what happens if we go to this. Looks like a little triangle of stars in here. Yeah, sure enough. Okay, let's see if we can pick up any of you. Or if you're too faint. It's probably pretty subtle, but, well, we'll see if we can see any of it. That's probably going to be it for me. I'm starting to get droopy. We'll see. See in about 10 seconds what, if anything, we get of that faint blue nebulosity. Or do we just get 3 stars? Yeah, we're definitely getting that shape in here. We'll try pulling a few subs in, see if that sharpens up and cleans up any, but it's pretty faint. know that we're going to get much out of this. Histogram is pretty well stretched. So I think it's just a little too faint. You can definitely see that this structure is there. This structure here, you can definitely see that it's there, but it's just really faint. Just don't think we're going to get there. All this stuff is pretty darn faint. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get much out of it. Much more than what we've got there, which is not much. I can try stretching the heck out of it, but I don't think it's going to... I think all it's going to do is get a bunch of noise. Yeah, not really much of anything promising. So, I think we're kind of pretty much done with that. So, anyway, I think I'm going to call it a night. Thanks everyone for being here. Thanks for watching if you're watching this after the live stream's done and just slogged all the way through here. Sorry about that earlier with the software locking up and 10 minutes of no signal, but we made it through, we persevered. So, thanks everybody. Like I said, I won't be on probably again until after the next full moon, so it'll be probably a good 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks before I show back up again. But in the meantime, have a great July, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for being here. Talk to you later.